I'm a lover of books, always have been. I have books neatly stacked, books stacked in themes, books piled high. I have books to share with my grandson. I even, just recently, brought up more books from the basement when I was trying to cull a few out by donating them to a church festival. My shelved books used to be alphabetized, and some can still be found that way. My favorites are usually on the floor by my bed. Some of my older books get hidden by photos, and some of the newest ones just get stuck in wherever I can find room. This themed stack are of the books I reference to my own new book, The Given Self. But my most profound reading experience began when I picked up A Course in Miracles and continued with the books of A Course of Love. It was 1992 when I first read about A Course in Miracles in my local newspaper. I filed the article away. I used to do that kind of thing, and didn't buy A Course in Miracles until several years later, when I'd been swept onto the spiritual path a lot more thoroughly than I was then. About then, I was still reading mystery novels and wanting to be a mystery writer. But once I got into A Course in Miracles, other reading ended. Buying new books was, for a while, a thing of the past. I'd needed an opening before I was ready for it, I guess. My first published books, the books of the Grace Trilogy, are about that opening. It came of my experience with these women I worked with. They became pregnant within days of each other. But one of them, Mary, lost her baby daughter, named Grace, when Grace was 5 weeks old. The tenderness and gentleness with which we then began to explore the big questions of life and death, and the seemingly smaller questions of our own lives, swept me and us along into deeper waters. It was a few years after this experience that A Course of Love came to me, yet it felt like a continuation of what was begun with my friends, a continuation of that heart opening and of going deeper. But it was also a continuation because it was Mary, the middle woman of the picture, who brought me a dream that helped me to confirm and respond to an inner voice telling me I had work to do for God, and then that it was to write a new Course in Miracles. That's the way it was presented to me, as a new Course in Miracles, one that would be for the heart what Course in Miracles is for the mind. A Course of Love was first published in 2001 by New World Library. There were several foreign translations. This is Sturker Svensson, who is working with Tuna Schoening on the first translation into Norwegian of the entire series. A Course of Love didn't remain one book. Before it was accepted for publication, I was already working on the next book in the series, the treatises. They were first published as 4 separate volumes, and then combined into one. About the time A Course of Love was coming out, I finished the dialogues. This is still my favorite volume, the one I carry around with me. Even though New World Library's owner and publisher, Mark Allen, claimed A Course of Love was one of the 3 greatest books he'd ever published, A Course of Love seemed to become about the best-kept secret in publishing history, and he didn't pick up the other 2 volumes. Eventually, the 3 books were brought together into these new editions and returned at the same time to the original language. Certain phrases, just a few, had been changed by New World due to the copyright litigation that was going on at the time regarding A Course in Miracles. Mark had a neat story he told about how he always felt he'd have something to do with publishing A Course in Miracles, and how, shortly before receiving the manuscript for A Course of Love, he had a meeting with some of the Course in Miracles folks who were looking for a new publisher for it. For reasons he didn't fully understand, he declined that opportunity. Then when he got A Course of Love, he said that was what he was waiting for. There were likely other reasons that Mark didn't stick with our project, and I was probably the lead reason. I was a little loony, really turned inside out by the experience, and I can't even say I'm too much less loony now. But one of the ways this manifested was in some disagreements I had about the way things were done. It started for me with editing, and my idea that some decisions couldn't be made by consensus. No one else had heard the material as it came the way I had. Other things that upset me were petty. And others were profound in ways I didn't fully understand. I had a strong and early sense of the book saying something very different about the self, and something very different about the way of the heart. I didn't want them intellectualized. But all of these things were pretty hard on me. I felt as if I didn't know how to be in the world, or how to be in the world in relationship to this course I'd manifested. It wasn't really calling me to do anything with it. Instead of feeling called in a public way of doing, I felt called to solitude, and spent most of the next couple of years embracing that way of life. My husband even built me this cabin in the woods behind our yard. I felt at one time like a mystic with a mission, at another like a hothouse flower who could no longer exist in the rough and tumble world, and at still other times like ordinary old me, a human being with all the usual imperfections and then some. But through it all I kept writing. I'm more writer than anything, and find my heroes and sentiments among others who are writers first. And my sympathies are for, as the poet William Stafford calls it, the searching, never completed, immeasurably rich distress of becoming a human being. I've found this exploration to be behind my urge to write. A Course of Love suits me in that way. I feel in it some resonance with what I felt within myself, a force of rebellion and a radical energy for each one being loved as they are, and for the great agonizing journey of each of us finding who we are. I love A Course of Love's central theme of identity, of finding a self, a core, to which we can be true, yet all the while never fully ending our quest to delve deeper into those eddies where knowing and unknowing drift and swirl together, and without forgetting the need to emerge with some expression for that rich distress, for that longing to be fully alive that might call to another who has fallen into those depths. I came upon a lovely blog report that an Episcopal leader wrote after a retreat, in which he spoke of how deep they'd gone, touching that unknowing place that feels profound, that feels like the knowing of the little children. And yet, the unease it brings to lose one's footing with knowledge, beliefs, orthodoxy. This type of letting go may be the most difficult. but it's the letting go offered in A Course of Love, and why I'd like to invite Course in Miracles readers to it. There's a sweet, exhausting, debilitating, and exhilarating depth to that letting go. It's the way of the heart, a place Jesus calls wholehearted, that Parker Palmer calls whole-sighted, a place that gets awakened after that chatterbox of a thinking mind gets put to rest, and thoughts of the heart can emerge and begin the merger of our highest self with our human self. A Course of Love is all about being our true selves, not about being selfless. It's about finding truth amidst the illusion, not accepting the illusion. It's about finding the higher consciousness within our humanity and elevating the self of form. We go through a lot of unlearning to get to that true place, and A Course of Love is a course in unlearning. At its end, we're told to put the books away and be it. Go live it. Go create the new. Just like with A Course in Miracles, A Course of Love ended my reading for a long while. But I returned to reading again. To Thomas More, Thomas Merton, Abraham Heschel, Emily Carr, William Stafford, Anne Lamont, keeping a few author friends near at hand, and selecting one or another to read again and again as it fit my mood for companionship or my need to be reminded to honor that urge, the passion, to be who I am and to express who I am. These 4 books of the courses, A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love, can work together seamlessly with all of our other dearest friends, authors, companions, and nature to lead us back to ourselves. As the great minister, philosopher, civil rights activist, and writer Howard Thurman said, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." Isn't that a fantastic quote? It's the essence of what A Course of Love is all about. That's kind of the whole losing ourselves and finding ourselves thing, as if an old self has to die so that a new self can come alive. I feel that this is the gift of A Course of Love, and so, after years of being quiet about it, I simply hoped this little tale of 4 books and a few friends might be welcoming to you.